All right, what's going on YouTube? This is Boxingwave, and we are back with another quick prediction video. Later on this evening, live on Dazn at 8 p.m. Eastern, the card starts. I believe the ring walkouts are about 10 p.m. Eastern. We're going to get the trilogy between Roman Gonzalez and Juan Francisco Estrada. And this is going to be for the WBC Super Flyweight title. All right. So look, this is how I feel, and to be honest, first I apologize for the lateness. I know a lot of you are probably not even going to get to see this video because I should have probably dropped this weeks ago. All right, but I finally got around to doing some film study, and to be honest, it's very hard to predict this fight because you guys were here last year when I did my review of the rematch. Highly upset at the outcome because of the one judge scoring it 117 to 111 for Estrada. All right. I wasn't mad at the decision that Estrada got, even though I thought Chocolatito won. I believe that he won. At least last year, I know I said I gave it 8-4 for Chocolatito. I know there was some swing rounds in there. I wasn't actually mad at the decision of Estrada winning, but the 117-111 scorecard I thought was ridiculous because I can't see how anyone can watch that fight and think that Roman Gonzalez only won 3 rounds out of the fight. All right. So going into this fight here, obviously you're gonna go into the film study. You're gonna go into what they did after the fight and stuff like that. But it's just hard to call because I do believe that this is one of those fights. Going back and watching the first fight again, and I feel like it's one of those fights that you can pick a winner based on what you like. All right. They both throw a lot of punches. They're both great fighters, elite fighters. But you can look at the fight. I can see as I'm watching the second fight again the other day, you can see exactly what Estrada is doing in there and what he's doing well in there. It's a different fight from the first fight. The first fight, it was more about like Chocolatito won the fight simply because he was backing Estrada up pretty much the entire fight. He was always in control, even when he was giving away rounds or he was losing rounds. He always seemed to be in control of the fight. He was able to back Estrada up to the ropes and really tee off and hurt him and cut him and hit him with the harder shots. His shots seemed to be clearly more effective in the first fight as opposed to the second one. The second one is just a completely different fight because you got Roman Gonzalez, who's, he seems to be more defensive minded now, and he's more trying to make every punch count. I know when you look at the punch, the CompuBox numbers, you can see that they're both throwing a lot of punches, right? But if you ignore the stats, if you just look at the fight, you will see that it seems like Roman Gonzalez is trying to make every punch count, and he's not trying to waste as many punches. He's throwing a lot of punches still, all right, but he's looking to be more effective. He's older. He's 35 years old. Estrada's 32, and it's a different fight because Estrada in the rematch wasn't backing up. He wasn't having his back against the ropes as much as the first one. And for the most part, like, they were fighting more in the center of the ring, as opposed to the first fight. All right. So it was very hard to choose. And I wasn't mad at the decision, even though I thought Roman won. I wasn't really mad at the decision. I just was more upset at the scorecard of 117-111. I thought that made it a robbery because it felt like this judge, it felt like, he already went in there he went into the fight with the scorecard already done, to me. All right. So going into this rematch, Estrada and Roman Gonzalez have both only fought one time since their rematch. The rematch was early last year. I remember the rematch well because it was my dad's 60th birthday, and this was my first time traveling since the pandemic began. We went to Florida and we watched we watched the fight at the house that we rented for that weekend. So I remember watching the fight. I remember us all watching the fight. I couldn't do live commentary, but I remember getting up early in the morning and doing like a review, a recap of the fight the following morning. And neither one of them fought for the rest of the year last year. Roman Gonzalez returned, fought Julio Cesar Martinez, which was a surprise. These two were actually supposed to fight, but it was rescheduled, I believe, early this year. And Gonzalez came back and fought Martinez, right, which was a pretty cool fight because Martinez was doing his thing at flyweight. He was a champion. He moved up to fight Roman Gonzalez. I believe Martinez was overweight for that fight, but Gonzalez dominated him in that fight. And that was early this year. That was in March this year. And Francisco Estrada, he went the entire year not fighting. And then he didn't fight until September of this year. So he went a whole year and a half not fighting. He comes back, fights Cortez. And it wasn't that great of a performance. Right? It didn't really look... It was a close fight. I know he has scored a knockdown. But it wasn't a good performance from Estrada. I didn't watch the entire fight that night. I skimmed through it. You know, I was actually... I think I was out somewhere. But I was watching the fight on my phone. From what I saw, it looked like Estrada was losing. You know, at least early in the fight, I thought that Estrada was actually looking like this might be an upset. You know, but he did score a knockdown and he did win the fight. Not clearly win, but it was a close fight. And you could see it on the scorecards as well. And it's really hard to pick because when you perform like that against a fighter that's not nearly on a level as Chocolatito, and I know styles make fights. I think Martinez, even though Martinez was the more well-known, accomplished fighter, very powerful, I think Cortez had the better boxing ability. You know, he was tall, he was rangy, he had a good jab. You know, he knew how to box for real. Even though he's not on the same level or isn't as accomplished as a Martinez or Roman Gonzalez or an Estrada, it's more about the styles. And Estrada just didn't look good. And that could be for a few things. Maybe it's because he hasn't fought in a year and a half. You know, going 18 months without a fight could be effective. Maybe because he just wasn't as... Maybe he slept on Cortez. You know, it's not fighting Chocolatito. He's trying to stay busy. And, you know, maybe he looked past him. And that's part of the reason why he didn't look so good in that fight. So I don't know. You know, I don't want to overthink things. But going into this third fight, I believe Roman Gonzalez won the rematch. But the judges didn't feel that way. And it makes it really hard for me to choose because I think the fight was very, very close. I do believe the fight goes to a decision. I've honestly been back and forth when it was announced or as we were, you know, once my mind started thinking about how this fight was going to play out. Right away, I thought Roman Gonzalez was going to win because you get a different set of judges. And based on what we saw in a rematch, I felt like Roman should win, you know, just like that. When I started doing film study and I went back and watched both of their fights and then watched their most recent fights, I said, I don't really know because I think Estrada does have a chance based on a rematch because he did very well, you know. I don't think he did enough, but he did very, very well. And I'm also counting the fact that there are some swing rounds in there. So based on that, I don't want to base everything strictly on the Cortez fights. You know, I don't want to base it just off the Martinez performance or their rematch because I think that this fight is going to play out very similar to the rematch. I think even though Chocolatito is older, he's still capable of throwing over 1,000 punches. All right. Estrada proved to me that in a rematch that he can stand his ground against Chocolatito, and not always have to fight on the back foot, and knows how to at least keep himself from off the ropes. I like the combinations he was throwing in that rematch. I think he just had some great moments in that fight. I think Chocolatito was fighting more like he was trying to just fight in spurts. I think Estrada in this fight, I feel like Estrada needs to hold back a little bit and try to work on making every punch count instead of just trying to outwork Chocolatito. I know that gave him success in a rematch, but I think a lot of people don't feel he won that fight. So if you're Estrada, if you're looking to do something different or continue doing what worked for you, stay off the ropes. Keep throwing punches, but try to make some of those count. There are points in that rematch where Estrada just lacks defense altogether. He drops his guard, and sometimes he uses his head at defense. There's points where Chocolatito landed some combinations because Estrada's head was like a pinata. He would just take in 2, 3, 4, 5 punch combinations at certain points in that rematch. All right, so I don't think Chocolatito was really putting the power down. I think he was just more focused on consistency and just his overall work rate. This was supposed to be a quick prediction, and now I'm just sitting here kind of like going through everything. But I think that Roman Gonzalez, on the other hand, needs to go to the body a little bit more. Like, I like Estrada. I think he was pretty consistently going to the body, throwing combinations and throwing the left hook to the body often. I remember watching the first fight, and I remember there were points where Chocolatito was throwing 4 or 5 punches to the body. There was one specific round where he closed it out in the last minute, just going and just destroying Estrada's body. I think if there's periods or opportunities where he can jump on doing that, he should do it. Again, make every punch count. The right hand seemed to be the punch of the fight. The jab and the right hand, the 1-2 was pretty. He was pretty good at landing that. Just focus on defense. I think for the most part he needs to do. I know he didn't win, but I think for the most part he did a good job defensively and being a little bit more accurate than Estrada. Again, I don't know who wins because I think it really depends on how the judges like the fight. I think they're both going to give it their all. I think they're both going to throw a lot of punches. I think that it's going to be a war again. It's hard to just go in detail on what these two need to do when you know exactly what they're going to do. You know exactly. Yes, there have been some changes in their styles, developments, and whatever, but you know what they're going to do. You know how it is when they fight each other. And I think that regardless of what they plan on doing, I think they're going to get caught in a moment and then it's going to go to war and slug it out. But I think Estrada. I think Roman Gonzalez is gonna win. I think Roman Gonzalez is gonna get the win, and I'm basing that off the fact that I think he won the rematch. I think he outperformed Estrada in the most recent fights, because even prior to their rematch, I think Roman Gonzalez, after his loss, has overall he's looked more impressive. I'm gonna go with. I've definitely been back and forth with it the last few days, but I'm gonna go with my original thoughts on this. I think Roman Gonzalez is gonna pull out a decision win. a close decision win, probably a split decision win. It will be close, but I think Roman, there's going to be a difference. And I think Roman, at some points in this fight, he's going to either score a knockdown or actually hurt Estrada this time around with one of those shots. All right, Estrada's going to do well. He's going to win a lot of rounds. He's going to win his rounds. I mean, not say a lot, but I think overall, Gonzalez's punches is going to be a little bit more effective, in my opinion. All right. So I'm going to go with Roman Gonzalez winning a split decision win today. All right. And I will be doing live commentary for the fight for sure. As I will be doing one for Tyson Fury in a few minutes. All right. So anyway, that is my final prediction for this fight. And I'll see you guys on the next one real soon. Peace.